All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, different parts of the world. This is Krishna Vedula from IUCE in Hyderabad, India, welcoming you to another great session of our IFEES GEDC IUCE webinar series. As you can see, we have three outstanding, distinguished folks here to make this presentation, and you're all like lucky. They're going to see their faces all the time for the rest of the 40 minutes. Great. Okay, so I'm going to quickly read out a couple of sentences about them. Swami, who's on the left here in the picture, is the co-founder and CEO of CAMU, an integrated SIS LMS solution on the cloud. He co-founded Camu in 2014 and has been instrumental in taking Camu to 7 countries, onboarded 400 plus education institutions with 1.2 million students. There's been an outstanding track record in implementation of EdTech for academic administration and learning management. Swami has helped several leading institutions in India and across the globe to transform the choice-based enrollment, adopting global best practices. And to my in the center, you have Chester Catilago, Director, Center for Education and Innovation, National Teachers College in Philippines. He holds a degree in economics at the University of Philippines, and he's been a learning and development professional for more than 15 years. In the early years of his BPO, he led technical training teams servicing one of the largest computer companies in the world. And in 2009, Chester joined Ayala Education to help design and develop senior high school curriculum of its schools. He's part of the team that brought low cost but effective education technology into the classroom. And then to our right is Aditya Kumar Sharma. He is experienced with 16 years of strategic management and successfully handling various kinds of university functions. He is knowledgeable about related regulations and best practices. With strategic management, he goes above and beyond basic administration, strong track record of reviewing and assessing processes, implementing continuous implementation initiatives. So with that introduction, I will hand this over to you folks with an introductory slide that will show the pictures. Okay, let's see how that works. All right, here we go. Okay, guys, you're on.
Thank you, Krishna, for setting this up. A warm welcome to all of to the audience for the session. Thank you very much for taking the time to attend this session. I'm delighted and humbled to be a part of this panelist, along with two distinguished other panelists, Dr. Aditya and Chester. Thank you both. Thank you for coming to the session, and look forward to having this conversation with you. First things first, let me just explain quickly the format of this session. No presentations. This is going to be an interactive dialogue. The topic is making remote learning a success. And last year, switching to remote learning was the major objective. But now, how do we make that successful? How do we make that the norm? And how can we get the maximum out of that? So we have our panelists who've got tremendous experience, both from an administration perspective and from a tech perspective. So we'll see a combination of messages coming from them, and hopefully it's useful for everyone attending this session. So we will have about 35-40 minutes of a dialogue, and towards the end we'll have about 20 minutes of a Q&A session. So as you have if you have any questions that come up, I'm sure you will have some questions. I believe there's a space for you to type your questions. Please type them. It'll all be put together, and towards the end, Krishna will read it out, and we can get your questions answered. So that's a 20-minute Q&A session towards the end. But while we have the dialogue, there will be polls in between, maybe 4, 5, or 6 polls in between, depending upon how it goes. So please respond to the polls, keep it interactive. So the poll questions are related to the dialogue, and we will get a sense for how you are responding to the questions and how we're receiving the messages. So that's going to be the structure: dialogue, poll questions in the middle, and a Q&A session towards the end. So with that, let's get started with the dialogue. First, Dr. Aditya, Your opening comments on the topic itself, please.
Thank you, Mr. Swami, and a warm welcome to all the audiences, and good evening, good morning, and good noon to all the members present here. As we all know that the world is changing constantly, and various domains are also getting influenced by this change. And education domain is no exemption to it. So we need to understand it and taking cognizance of this fact. Our digital team, digital world is also moving ahead. So with the evolution of digital learning platforms, a huge impact is there in the educational institutions. And this is eventually going to put the traditional methods in the back seat. However, we need to understand at the same time that there are demands for both technology and traditional learning methods. So with this, we are going to have a good enriching session today for our audiences.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Aditya. Just your thoughts on the topic for the day.
Yeah, thank you, Swami. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all of you. It's my pleasure to join you guys in this webinar. About making remote learning a success. I think at the moment, we don't really have much of a choice but to embrace the situation. We've been forced into this, what do you call this, in this situation, whether we're prepared or not. I think it's important to understand that there are different tools, there are different platforms that can be used out there. There are partners that you can work with, the right platform, the right tools. I think overall, having a clear strategy, having a clear objective of what you want to accomplish and what success would look like, and coming up with the right tool, selecting the right tool. It doesn't have to be very complicated. It can be a simple tool, a streamlined tool that will enable you to accomplish those objectives. It can be tricky if you just look at the array of tools that you have out there, but with the right plan, with the right partner, you can be successful too.
Yeah, well said, Chester. So we'll get more of your thoughts on that, the clarity of thought. This session, well, we'll have quite a few comments from, on the administration of an institution, and also a lot of comments from you on the tech. I think we'll drive towards the clarity in thought. What do we want to achieve? I think that's going to be fundamental, and I'm sure this dialogue will sort of establish that and give some more insight into that. Dr. Aditya, what organizational transformation is needed to embrace online learning? Okay, last year we just picked up whatever tech was that's available, just got online and just got going, and there was a impressive shift towards online learning. But now, to make that real, what kind of transformation should organizations go through?
Yeah, this is a very right question in today's scenario, when we see that the COVID is impacting the world, and especially the education sector, very badly. And we all know that no more are the days when we can have the delivery of the contents in physical mode. And we all know that student is a main stakeholder in the entire this scenario, and the efforts we need to make the system which respond to their dreams and aspirations. So looking into this, I feel that any organization, whether you talk about the school, you talk about the university, or you talk about the college, there is a need to bring the transformational changes in the organizations, wherein the organizations are able to meet up with this demand for online teaching, for remote learning, for remote teaching. And looking into that I feel that there are three things which every organization needs to have. One is that the at the authority level, the various hierarchical levels in the organization, they needs to be aligned, and we need to cut down the level of the organizational hierarchy, because that results in slowing of the decision making. And that is, in today's time, we do not have much of the time to wait for the decision to come at the right time. Otherwise, our students are going to be the sufferer in this. Another important thing which I feel that the organizations needs to have is that they need to have their operational models more agile. See, the education ecosystem is a very complex system now presently, and looking into the current scenario, I think that there is a need to have more agile operating models which can sustain their competitive advantage which is coming up. And institutions, they definitely need to create operational models that take into account today's shifting expectations of the students, of the society, and tomorrow's potential challenges. So I think the leaders need to realize, they need to understand that they need to develop enhanced governance, design nimble organizational structures, as I mentioned earlier, and improve management processes and align the entire workforce with clearly defined goals, metrics, and key performance indicators. The third thing which I feel that the organization need to have is that they need to attract, retain, and promote the talent. That is the main stay of the entire thing. If you do not have the talent, the required talent, you'll not be able to achieve, even if you talk about the remote learning or you talk about the traditional way of learning. So attracting and retaining the right skills and experience is imperative to advancing the institution's objectives, especially when we talk about the remote learning. And there is need to unlock the power of the workforce by delivering exceptional employee experiences that start before a candidate accepts the current situation, wherein the students, those who were used to physical or the traditional way of delivery to this online or remote learning. So this is what I feel. And at the same time, another one more important point which is just coming up to my mind is that the leaders in the organizations especially need to embrace and drive the change management. They need to embrace this thing.
Sure. So to adopt to go fully online with the learning, you're calling for like nimble organizations, nimble and agile organizations, make decisions fast. I think gone are the days where we got the student locked in the campus, right? Now the future is going to be like student is studying in multiple institutions at the same time. Your whole process of online recruitment and how you keep them coming back and re-registering with the institution is going to be key. Yeah, it's not directly linked to the online learning itself, but these are all the different organizational transformation that we need to have in place in order to keep the online learning going. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Athiya. Chester, from an academic, given all of that, what challenges would an institution face from academic administration perspective, right? So learning, before we get onto the learning, we got to your academic planning, your online, the recruitment, your resource planning. What challenges do we face today, and how can what are the challenges institutions face, and how can tech help in that?
Yeah, there can be several, but I'll probably highlight 2 or 3, right? One is managing records, just getting all the paperwork. Schools have always been used to getting hard copies, submitting it, at on site. With everyone remote and not having an office to go to, digital submission of documents can be challenging. So, and not only for the applicants or the students, but of course from an administration point of view employers handling, the employees handling that information or those data in an organized fashion, making sure that if we need them to pull it up, they can easily pull it back up. So that's one, right? Managing of records. Two is just making sure that everyone is productive, making sure that everyone is using the right tool at the right time or attending to the work that they need to do. In a remote setup, it's quite challenging to manage your team if you're used to an office setting where you see everyone and that you see the actual work happening without the right tools, without the right platform. That can be a challenge. I've seen schools who have been used to manual manual processes. Moving into digital has been very difficult without the right tools and platform. So productivity will definitely suffer. And of course, your end customer, your students, will also suffer. They're gonna feel that inefficiency in the process. Challenges in scheduling, challenges in managing logistics. It's very different. If before you used to run classes face-to-face, managing classrooms, you have your teacher come to the classroom. This time you need to manage a virtual classroom, making sure that the students are in the right virtual classroom and the teacher is in the right virtual classroom can be a challenge, especially if not everyone is familiar with how to use these platforms, and they can delay any of your events, any of your classes from getting started. So those are what I've seen that cropped up lately. Aside from the learning cycle, just getting ready for your school calendar, your classes can be challenging without the right tools.
Sure. So you're emphasizing on tools. It needs to be a sustainable. You need to have a sustainable method of for academic administration, and tools. A right technology is a way forward, where the student experience can be delivered in a seamless manner. Yeah, it's a good point. Dr. Atya, getting a bit deep into the academics. Now we've just started. We were using the chalk and board process. We were teaching students. We had content. Very happy with the content that we have. What is your opinion of the teaching content that we have today? I'm talking. It's a general question. Not everyone's transformed to have very digitally savvy content. What's your opinion of the content? What are the challenges with delivering teaching content in an online medium? What are the practical problems and challenges we face?
It's a very right and genuine question in today's time, because when this COVID pandemic came in, not all of us were prepared for online teaching, for remote teaching, remote learning. Not even the teachers, not even the students. And all of a sudden, we all were made to face this situation and start the online education, online teaching, online delivery. And of course, the delivery of the content for which the teachers as well as the students were used to deliver in the physical mode was a challenge when it came to the online teaching. Now, we know that gradually now, when we are moving on towards adopting this online system of education, at the same time, we need to understand few of the things which are very common, whether you talk about whether it is online content delivery or it is physical mode delivery. The basic thing remains the same, that the higher education learners these are, we need to understand when you talk about the higher education, because I'm coming from the higher education, that's why I'm focusing more on that. That when we talk about the higher education learners, we need to understand and accept this, that they are the adult learners who come with their own world of experience, with their previous knowledge of which they gained at schooling, and their previous years of education, exposure to other sources of knowledge. Even if you talk about not only the higher education learners, if you talk about even the school going kids, they are also now having nice exposure to various sources of knowledge. So we need to design the content in a way that meets up with their expectations, and also meets with the desired outcomes of the program, which is being delivered, which is being there for the students, wherein the students have taken admission. So when we talk about the curriculum as a whole, we need to focus on three aspects of learning for a holistic learning. One is your cognitive skills, one is your affective skills, another one is your psychomotor skills. So even if you are giving the delivery in the online mode, these three aspects will always be there, and the teachers, while designing the curriculum, needs to design it in a way that these three aspects of learning are met out efficiently and effectively. Otherwise, the students will not be able to achieve and attain the outcomes of the courses, or the outcomes and objectives of the program in which they have taken the admission. Because at the end of the day, our objective is that whatever course the student is studying, he or she must be able to attain the outcomes expected of that particular course, and he or she, at the end of the degree program, or at the end of any program in which he or she has taken admission, he or she is able to attain those objectives. If these three aspects of learning are not taken into consideration, we are going to face a big failure.
Right.
This
Sure.
I
So
believe.
the fundamentals are still the same when we go online, but you just need to get more used to the digital delivery of that content. Fair enough. Krishna, can you please post the first poll question? Can you
Sure,
please?
sure. Absolutely, yes. So let's go to the first question. And I'm going to launch it.
Yeah, thank you.
It says, you can read it out if you want while they are answering.
Yeah, sure, please.
Why don't you go ahead? You explain the question.
Yeah, what is the biggest challenge institutions face with online learning? The options are teaching professors becoming effective on digital platforms, okay? Inability to create digitally effective content. Students lack attention, while online, and cultural challenges with online learning. So those are the four options. So if you could respond with what you think is the biggest challenge in your opinion, and Krishna will display the results shortly.
Okay, we have another, half of you have voted. I need some more, guys. Come on, quick fingers. We've got 10 of these coming up, so get some practice. Okay, only 60% of you have voted. 1 minute is up. You don't want to take up much time. Come on, guys. We've got almost 100 people in the audience today. Okay, I'm going to close, and hopefully next poll more people will join. I'm going to share. Okay, so 28% first option, teaching professors become effective. Then second option, 19%. Third option, 42%. Last option, 12%. You can all see it?
Yeah. That's interesting. Students lack attention while online. Absolutely. It's just a part of the way things are. So, but if you look at the third point, it's sort of connected to everything else. As the digital platforms becomes more interesting, so we need to find ways of keeping them engaged. So that's the fundamental issue here. How could we keep them engaged? They lack attention. So what can we do about it? That's what this what are the objectives of this session. Thank you for the response, and we can continue with. So, what would you do next? That
I
you
guess
go back
what you're hearing is the students are to blame, not me. I'm teaching as well as I can. Students are to blame, guys. I'm teaching, but they're not learning on their own. It's their fault, right? Okay, I'm going to hide that. Okay, we want to go to the next question?
Sure. So that the whole thing is, it's about the. So we'll have a couple more points we will discuss, Krishna. Then we'll come back to you in a few minutes.
Sure. I just wanted to provoke them a little bit there.
Okay. Now, Chester, you know, as an educational institution, you being a part of in various senior role in IT in an education institution, what challenges do the institutions face in adopting technology?
Yeah, I'll start with enablement of users, right? I'll talk about 3 points. First one is enablement of users, or training. Getting them to embrace it and be motivated to learn it is quite challenging. How difficult it is to break a habit. So if they're used to the brick and mortar approach, and introducing a new technology can be very difficult, right? So that's one. And getting them to learn it will of course be very, very tough if they're not motivated. Second one is technology continues to change, right? And especially nowadays, it's almost every year a new technology comes out. And keeping up with the latest technology can be difficult for educational institutions because of budget, right? Budgetary constraints. Typically, schools would spend around 5 to 10% of their budget on tech, and would try to keep it as is for the next 4 or 5 years. And by the time you need to update, you can't update. You need to clean up everything because it's like starting from scratch. So without a clear digital strategy, it can be costly if you choose the wrong platform, if you choose the wrong solution, where there's no clear path to how you upgrade and maintain. And the third point that I'm going to mention is related to the second point, is stability and usability, and how current is the platform. Maybe this can sometimes be, getting an overly complicated tool, sure, it's like the best that you might be able to get out there. But if it's very difficult to use, if it's very complicated, it's not a streamlined platform, if you're using 7 different tools to manage one process, it can be a nightmare. And imagine if it's time for you to upgrade, you need to upgrade 7 different tools, right? These are the challenges that I personally have been, dealing with the several schools that we have.
Sure. There are a couple of points, very interesting points there. You're from the Philippines. I know you're from an organization that got a lot of focus on technology. So you're talking about 5 to 10% of the budget on tech. Okay, that's an interesting point for our audience to think about. The second thing is a clear strategy of what you want to achieve, and if you pick a tech that's not really suitable due to lack of strategy, it's going to be very expensive. Not because of the cost of tech itself, I think, but the cost of change management, learning it, and having to go back and redo all of that. So a budget and picking the right picking a technology, but backed by a clear strategy of what you want to achieve. Brilliant. Absolutely, totally agree with you. So in my role, day in and day out, having implemented in 7 countries, wherever we get engaged in implementing Camu, it typically starts with an academic, a digital transformation, an academic transformation, major changes to process changes, in order to take advantage of the tech. So we do that quite often. We also do the very simple, let's just get started with simple things in next month. Let's just begin with certain changes. So, but then the clarity of thought is quite important. Are you here for a massive transformation, or you're here to do very pointed, focused changes? Absolutely right, Chester. Krishna, can we go to can we again display one more, since some of the points have already come up, I'll go a little bit sooner to the next poll question, but question number 3, please. I would like to skip 2 for now and go to question number 3.
3, that is what is your opinion on the impact of work from home? That question,
Yeah.
do you want that question? Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, here we go. You can read out the question and the answers, Swami.
Thank you. What is your opinion on the impact of work from home in education? There's work from home in many fields. I work in IT field. There's work from home in IT. Work from home in education. Everyone's at home. So, what is the question is, what's the impact of that? An opportunity for educational institutions to grow? Does it remove your physical boundaries? Does it allow you to reach a wider learner base? That's the first option. That makes teaching and learning ineffective. It's on the flip side. Learners are deprived of a cultural experience and an emotional connection. It's truncated because they can't get all the text in that option there. But the point is depriving the learners of a cultural experience and an emotional connection. A very critical aspects there. The fourth option, learners will be liberated to learn as per their life goals. That's a positive thing. So that's a mixed bag of options. So keen to know, what you think about it. Go ahead and make your choices, please.
Okay, I'm going to close. And again, keep in mind, all of you, that this does not give you ability to give you multiple choices. You might want to give multiple choices. So think carefully before you pick, because that's the only choice you get. Okay, so I'm going to share. And it says the first 17% say an opportunity, 9% say makes teaching and learning ineffective, 50% say learners are deprived of cultural experiences, and 24% say learners will be liberated.
Right. So we can see a bit of a connection here. In the previous question, we thought the students are not attentive, right? But now we don't feel that teaching and learning is ineffective. Only 9% of us think that. So we think it's actually effective. But in the previous question, we thought students lack attention. So is it effective or not? This seems to be a bit conflicting. But there's a very important point here. The learners are deprived of cultural experience and emotional connection. We see there's a major impact. Obviously that's on the flip side, that's probably a reality. But then that's something we've got to embrace and find other ways of balancing that. So it's interesting note that that has impacted the audience, the ability, the depriving the students of cultural experience and emotional connection. Interesting. Thank you, Krishna. We'll go ahead with the rest of the discussion. Dr. Athi, now if we can, the first option there was help institutions, educational institutions grow. So you're an administration, registrar of a large university. Now, if you want to look at how can you make educational institutions, take this as an opportunity to make educational institutions grow, one specific aspect. And in our experience, we tend to find this as we see that many institutions see this as opportunity. Lifelong learning. What does it take for an institution which has been largely focused on campus-based physical presence of students, now use the same resources, but to reach out to corporate learners and deliver lifelong learning? Is that practically possible? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a relevant and very good question at this point of time. When we talk about lifelong learning, whether it is online learning or it is physical mode. And when we say that when we are moving towards remote learning or the online learning, the concept of lifelong learning seems to be becoming more feasible. We need to understand what we mean by lifelong learning. When we say that we want the institutions to have lifelong learning, it means that institutions need to understand that they have to move away with the notion of fixed time for education. That is the mainstay of it. That we need to move away with this notion of fixed time of education. When we say that it is lifelong learning, the leaders of the institutions need to understand that lifelong learning means it's an ongoing thing. It's voluntarily. It's self-motivational pursuit of knowledge. So when we say that, when we say it's lifelong learning, the institutions needs to bring in the change in the curriculum. And what major change they need to bring into the curriculum is that as I said earlier, that lifelong learning means you need to do away with the notion of the fixed time of education. So we need to bring in the change in the curriculum in a way that wherein we have the facility of multiple entry and multiple exit for the student. Say for example, I'll talk about one example here. That say for one student has taken admission in a program having a 4 years duration, right? Say after doing 1 year of taking the 1 year of the education and earning the required credits for the 1 year. If the student feels like that now I want to explore more practically, I want to face a life in real sense, the institutions must give the opportunity to make the student move out of the program after taking just certificate for 1 year, right?
Sure.
So, and if a student wants to study another 1 more year, say after experiencing the life for another say 2 years, he is there in the market and he's experiencing the life, and he now after 2 years he feels that there is a need for me to increase my skill sets, and I need to learn again. I need to go back to my same program. He should be allowed to take admission into the 2nd year of that program. And say
Sure.
for 2 years, he studies there in that particular program. And at the end, after completing 2 years in that particular program, at the end of the 3rd year of that program, student, if he's earning the required credits, he must be allowed to move out of that program, taking some degree or some diploma kind of thing, which it depends, ultimately it all depends upon the institution, what it is going to offer, and it also depends upon the nature of the discipline. So this is how we need to bring this facility in the curriculum, this flexibility in the curriculum. Only then we can make the learning lifelong. This I believe.
Absolutely. So flexibility in the curriculum, the learners should be able to study what they like when they want to study that, and earn the degree only when it's needed, not go through a set program. Absolutely right. So these are the administrative changes to stay effective online. It's not just about tech and then LMS and you log in and take online classes. All of that can continue, but then you need to have those transformational changes, like you said, Dr. Aditya, so that you're able to just sustain in this new way of doing things. Now, so earlier, your previous question to you talked about the challenges, clarity in thought, or the strategy, how you pick the tech. Now, if you were given the task of pick your technology, you need to pick an administration system to administer the institution. Very quickly, can you just, we are getting a bit pressed for time. Very quickly, what would be your strategy to start picking? If you were to pick technology, what would be your approach? If you could quickly summarize, please.
Yeah, I always go back to what do you want to achieve, right? If you have a clearly defined objective of what you want to accomplish, that's how you should.
Yeah, so let me interrupt you here. When I say you wouldn't even worry about the tech, right? You first want to think, what do you want to achieve, irrespective of tech? So the thinking starts with what you want. It's not by seeing products out in the market, right? That's an important aspect. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned that, because
I want to bring it up deliberately, and I know you do it that way. Go ahead, Chester.
Yeah, when I talk to our executives, even our CEO, he would pull me here and there to, hey, take a look at this, take a look at that. You know, I always go back to him and say that we don't need a hammer and try to look for a nail, right? We try to figure out what do we want to accomplish, and then we use the right tool. Technology is a means to an end, and there can be a lot of tools. It can be overwhelming when you're looking at all the different platforms and tools out there, and they might have all these bling, right? You know, those glittery features, but always go back to your North Star that will guide you. What do you want to achieve? And see, based on that, what are the feature sets that you're looking for in a tool that would make you accomplish your objective? That's typically how I would approach it.
Absolutely. Then a good approach would be, think of what you want to achieve, take the effort to write something like an RFI or an RFP, document your what you need, and then look for the tech. Then it makes it much easier, and also the suppliers find it are in a much better position to respond rather than see demonstrations after demonstrations, and you're just sort of responding to the features. So the clarity in thought and documenting what you want and looking for that, whether it's a hammer or whatever that object is, absolutely
Right.
the more effective way of doing this. I know we said the start 40 minutes of discussion, and then we will go into the Q&A. But just before that, I would like to extend for a few more minutes. Krishna, can you please go for the fourth poll question, please?
The fifth poll.
The Q4 question number 4, Q4, please. Yeah.
Fourth one, what should institutions invest in to emerge successfully? That's the one,
yes.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you. What should institutions invest in to emerge successful in the shift to online learning? So, and this is not about the tool, this is about the moving to the online medium as for the institution as a whole. That's what the question is about. Marketing and online recruitment of new students. That area is completely changed. That's option one. Second, student retention. How do you hang on? There are significant dropouts now in various countries. The significant dropouts. How do you retain your students? Then that means it's focusing on student success. That's the second option. Retain what you have. That's the second one. Third, digital transformation in teaching, learning, and administration. That's an area that I personally get to work a lot with. Institutions want to completely reform and align for the future. That's a major transformation. And the fourth option, academic transformation. Example, it's a bit truncated there. Things like go for new concepts like lifelong learning, multidisciplinary learning, students being able to take a break, learn at their own pace, bring in multiple, different options in order to sustain in this, online medium. So those are the four choices. Go ahead and pick. Respond to what you think is the most relevant choice here. What should the institutions invest in?
Okay, we have most of the responses in, so I'm going to share. Only 2% said marketing and online recruitment, 7% said student retention, 61% said digital transformation, and 29% said academic transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that number 3 and 4 are the key, and you can't retain the students without having the transformation done. So the second point is a no-brainer that it's not a popular choice. So yeah, going digital, getting the right tools, and like Chester talked about clarity in thought. What do you want to achieve? You don't want to transform the whole thing. What are the little things you want to do, and what's your roadmap for doing that? And investing in digital is an absolute the key now, in order to go a couple of steps ahead immediately. I'd like to just take one last question, and then we'll go into the Q&A. Krishna, hope you've got the some questions there for us towards the end from the audience.
Yeah, I have a few comments that have come from the audience. Yeah, more will come once we start. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So I'm going to go one more question, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
Yeah.
So Dr. Ate, you just have maybe we can take just a minute, maybe, and then we'll go to the Q&A.
Which question do you want?
The campus is less relevant today. Now
The
you
fifth
want
question.
to, whether you may have been, in getting learners from 50-kilometer radius, 100-kilometer radius. Maybe a
So the
few from
impact
elsewhere.
of online learning on the learner. Is that what you want? Which
This
question?
is a question for Dr. Aditya. I'll come back to you, Krishna. Just give me
Okay,
a minute.
fine. Okay, got it. Okay,
Dr.
got it.
Yeah. Now, if an institution aspires, I want to go out of my boundary. I don't want to be constrained by the geographical, setting. What approach should we take? How can I actually go about achieving that? I want to attract anybody from anywhere, or at least a culturally relevant geography. How can I go about achieving that?
See, when we, it's a question which is there in the mind of every institution, especially in times when we are gradually moving on to the online system. And we know that people are avoiding moving to the campuses. People are avoiding moving to the places far off, even to the, not only far off, even to the nearby places also. People are avoiding moving. So it's a challenging time, and based on my experience and what I'm observing, that digital marketing is the mainstay for all the institutions to capture, to attract the students. Yes, of course, that the quality of the delivery, the quality processes which the institution has adopted, and the practices which it is having there with it, is going to play a big role in attracting the students, whether they are coming from the nearby places or from far off places.
Excellent.
But yes, to disseminate the information what you are doing, we need to take help of the tools like digital marketing is one solution to it. But at the end of the day, no tool, no digital marketing expert can bring you the students if you do not have the quality processes there with you, if you do not have the best practices in education with you, no one can fetch you the students.
Absolutely. So now the challenge is people who were around you were probably going to come to you. Now they can go anywhere. So it also works the other way around. So now absolutely right. You have to be able to have quality. You have to be able to. You should have quality processes, and you have to have a method of communicating that, and probably through digital marketing, get the messages out. The right messaging backed by sound, processes that should be appealing to the learners who are in a broader geography. So while we try to attract from a wider geography, we need to be careful about the people that generally come to us from the area that's close by. They also have options now. So it's quite important to to be out there and to be loud digitally, backed by strong processes. Yeah, very good point, Pratya. Krishna, would like to take some questions. Take the questions from the
Sure.
audience. And if there's time,
Sure.
we'll go back to the questions.
Sure. I will pop out the questions and take a look. I think first of all, I think people would like to have from each of you a little bit about your experiences. There's some couple of comments saying that the conversation is very generic. What is
Okay.
Camu? What do you do, Swami? What are your experiences? What is
Sure.
the experience of at Tirthankar Mahavir University Registrar? What do you do? Give us some examples of some exciting things that you've done. And Chester at the National Teachers College, what exciting things have you done along these lines to share with everybody? Can you
Sure.
take a minute on each of you, tell a little bit about those?
Yeah, sure. So Camu it's an EdTech solution. It's a student information system and a learning management system integrated together. So we have a footprint across 400 institutions in 7 countries. What have we done over the last 5-6 years since we've been in the market? We have a number of institutions we've helped transform from a very set program where all students study at the same pace in a specific mode. They move at the same pace to a complete liberated model, bringing all the concepts that are now promoted. Also the NEP 2020 in India, multidisciplinary education, be able to choice-based enrollment for students, and where students can go with their own choice of what they want to learn. and earn the degree when they want to learn, take a break and study, come back to transform. We've helped institutions transform to this model, which is more aligned globally. So that's what we do on a day-to-day basis, and have a footprint in 7 countries. So that's what we do. Dr. Aditya.
Yeah. Thank you. Tirthankar Mahavir University, I take this opportunity to introduce you about the university, which is there in existence and imparting the education, higher education to the society here in India for last more than 20 years, for 2 decades. For more than 2 decades, it's there in education, and it's a multi-disciplinary, multi-faculty university having the programs ranging right from medical, dental, paramedical, medical allied programs to engineering, management, law, education, agriculture, fine arts. So, these are the various programs which the university is offering, and from your diploma to doctorate level of programs are there in the university. And myself, I'm here in this academic governance and governance for last 16 years, and my area of specialization is strategic management, and I have been deeply into the designing of the curriculum committee for revision of the curriculum committee for choice-based credit system and outcome-based education system. I'm there into it for last more than 5 years. I'm into choice-based credit system, designing the curriculum on CBCS choice-based credit system and outcome-based education system.
Chester?
Yeah, well, let me share you our most recent experience at the National Teachers College when the pandemic hit, and everyone wasn't ready, right? We're used to a face-to-face delivery, and quickly we had to shift to online. So what my team did, the Center for Education Innovation at NTC, is to come up with a program to fast track the faculty's enablement in delivering their classes online. We had to come up with very simple processes that they can follow, very clear-cut steps, and very structured approach to how we're going to transform our courses that can be delivered online. How we did that really quickly is to focus more on developing problems, projects, and cases that students can work on, not necessarily requiring a lot of time to for the teacher to be talking in front or the professor to be talking in front, lecturing like how it used to be inside the classroom. With projects, problems, and cases, it's the student who gets to do a lot more, and you use those synchronous sessions to get them unstuck, figure out the best path forward in solving that problem, project, or case. And so the professor becomes more a facilitator than a teacher, and therefore making the online experience of the students more meaningful rather than just listening to a professor. I think that's the most recent.
Great. I'm going to take the moderator's prerogative and launch a couple of quick questions which should be relevant to the audience here. And so this is the question: do you currently use any campus management system? Okay, yes or no? Okay, keep coming. We're going to go quickly on this one. Campus management system. Okay, campus solutions. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and close. We got about 59% saying, 60% saying yes, 39% saying no. Just for your information, and then I'm going to share that very quickly. And then I'm going to do one more poll, and then I'll get back to a few questions from the audience. Would you like to schedule a demo with Camu? Okay, that's the one I'm going to show. Let's see. Okay, just last. Would you like to schedule a demo? Okay, of CMU. All right, so little commercial for you guys. Okay, just did that polls in there, and 80%, 83% said yes. So I'm going to close on that one. And I'm going to take a few more questions from my friend MD Matthew from St. Gates. He has a question saying, what are the solutions? Okay, let's see. To keep the attention of the learners, how would you keep the attention of the learners? What are some of the solutions in that area? Because that's the biggest challenge.
Right. Chester, would you like to take that? How can you keep the learners attentive? And there was a whole question
right.
also. Yeah, go ahead.
How can you keep learners attentive in an online environment? Like I said, when we run our synchronous sessions or online sessions, they're not really designed for professors to be lecturing. We use these as an avenue for students to be asking their questions, because the way we've designed courses is they deal with problems, projects, and cases. And these problems that they work on, as they work on them independently, when we schedule those synchronous sessions, that's when they interact with the facilitator. So they come into the session with questions, because typically they were going to get stuck in trying to solve that problem, project, or case. Of course, as a professor, as a facilitator, if there aren't any questions, then you need to quiz your class too, and check if they're actually progressing based on the learning plan that you've developed.
Okay, I'm going to take a last question and then give it over to Hans Hoyer. How about the cost part of it? You need a heavy IT budget, right, to do all of these fancy things. This is from Dheeraj Vyas.
Can you say that? Can you repeat the question?
The cost associated with the IT budget that has to be put into this whole program if you want to go, do all these things online, right? What are the cost?
Yeah.
The cost
so,
element.
Right. So it just depends on what what you'd like to do. Chester indicated an institution's planning at at 5 to 10% of the budget towards IT, but that's a probably holistic budget. It just depends what you'd like to do, and there are solutions at various price points, or there could be a platform like our platform. Camu, this you don't have to go holistically. You could get different functions implemented as point solutions, which will have a specific price point, and then you can also go for a holistic transformation. So it depends on what you'd like to do, but we're happy to have a separate conversation on the objectives, and we can get very specific response to the price point.
Okay, great. Hans, close it up. You have time for you to wind it up. You got 1 minute to go.
Thank you, my brother, my friend. I want to just make a comment, Swami. This has been one of the really creative sessions that we've had, and the way you have brought together your two colleagues and the kinds of questions that you formulated. I want you to know it's quite applicable globally in terms of what you said. I'm very much impressed, and I appreciate the patient working together with your team to bringing this about. Sorry, I'm going to make comments, one related to what you've said just briefly, and then a little bit about IFEES and GGC globally, which I always do in these opportunities. I think the issues from my perspective, I'm in discussions with leaders in Africa, Latin America, India, and other parts of the world. In one of your questionnaires, there was a question related to the cultural and emotional element. And there's almost no discussion on your part on the emotional. That fundamental aspect, when you look at the reality and the crises facing India and the rest of the world at this particular moment, per se, it's a new history, it's a new reality. And the question is, besides the obvious physical and physical health issues, and without going to account, is the emotional one. And so the first time I'm working with the leaders, and I've included that in our global conferences, that I've brought in mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, and others that have talked with not only the students, you focus on the students, the problems they're facing, but the faculty and the university leaders are in a whole different reality. And again, among engineers, I find, at least historically, not much discussion around those. I just wanted to mention that, and that would be obviously a whole separate conversation per se. So let me just stop. Finally, and again, I'm just really impressed with the creativity of this conversation today. I just want to make a couple of announcements for those that are joining us, the wonderful numbers per se. We've been working with women engineering leaders, and it will be on June 23rd is the International Engineering Women's Day celebration, and we'll be having a webinar led by women in India on the book Rising to the Top that they're writing, and also a second one on Africa per se. I just wanted, and this is obviously for not only women, this is for men and women. Men and women need to dialogue with one another, not only in terms of IT and engineering issues, but some of the other issues that we discussed per se. And then very important to the IFEES GDC and IUCE community, working closely with my friend Krishna, is the engagement of students. Is very important to our global events. So the seed I want to plant is our global conference this year is in Madrid, Spain in November. And I'm looking and want to invite faculty members, students, leaders, our corporate colleagues to engage in that. So let me just stop on that. By the way, one final thing I don't want to forget, I'm very happy that you're with us from the Philippines. I'm really, really, really happy, Chester, and I'd like to connect with you to engage the Philippines in our global community. We don't have any leaders, any faculty participating in IFEES and GDC, so perhaps we can follow up on that. Again, peace be with you. Take care of your health and your families, and thank you very, very much for this presentation. Thank you.
So on that note, we'd like to close the session. Swami, thank you. Aditya, thank you. Chester, thank you. Caroline, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Be healthy. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.